Ever seen a loud guy at a party who thinks he's so confident? Well, we all know he is not confident. Do you know why? Because real confidence doesn't really relate to being very loud. Therefore, let's focus on actual confidence and how to achieve it. I'm going to read chapter 15 of the 5-Second Rule, book written by Mel Robbins. Part 5. Courage changes everything. How to become the most fulfilled person you know. We're nearing the end of the book. We've learned the story of the rule. You understand the concept of everyday courage, and you've covered the more tactical uses of the 5-second rule to change behavior and change your mind. You're now ready to dive deep into the deeper and more soulful topics that impact your connection to yourself. First, you will explore confidence and how you can build it using acts of everyday courage. You will learn about the surprising connection between confidence and personality. You will meet people who have had great success building their confidence, and you will read some deeply honest social media posts about how you reconnect with the most important person in your life, yourself. Second, you will learn how everyday courage helps you discover your passion. You will meet men and women who are using the 5-second rule to win the battle with fear and find the courage to pursue what's in their hearts. Their examples will inspire you to do the same. Third, you will explore what creates deep and meaningful connections in relationships and why courage is such a critical component. The amazing stories in this section will inspire you to make the most of the time you have with the people you love, and give you one simple thing that you can do at any moment and at any time to deepen your relationships. Bring tissues. This is my favorite section of the book. If you can enrich your self-confidence, passion, and connection with people, your life will transform in ways that you thought you could only dream of. There will always be someone who can see your worth. Don't let it be you. Chapter 15. Building real confidence. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Joseph Campbell. A big mistake people make is thinking that confidence is a matter of personality. Confidence just means that you believe in yourself, your ideas, and your capabilities. Anyone can learn how to become more confident. It's not a personality trait, it's a skill. You may have an extroverted personality and talk a lot, but that doesn't mean you are confident. The most vocal person in the room might be really insecure and only says what he thinks will make him look good. Look no further than me. For a long time, I was loud and bossy, but I felt insecure in myself, my ideas, and my abilities. The quietest people you know might actually be the most confident. Your best friend, who's an extrovert, might believe in her ideas with great confidence and get annoyed when you don't ask her about them. But she's afraid of speaking up because her face turns red. She isn't lacking confidence in her ideas. She just needs a little courage to push through her fear of being judged for having rosy cheeks. I had an experience that illustrates the connection between confidence, courage, and personality. It also will show you once again the authentic pride you feel when you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Recently, I had a chance to speak at Costco Systems, the largest networking technology and services company in the world. A few months later, I was invited back to give a similar talk, this time to a senior engineering group. When I arrived for the second talk, a man came up to me as I was setting up with the AV team. He was so excited to see me and greeted me with the warm embrace of an old friend. Being from the Midwest, I left nothing more than a good hug. He could hardly contain his excitement, and he said that he had something so exciting to tell me about the rule. He had seen me speak at Cisco Live several months back. During that speech, as I often do, I gave the audience a homework assignment using the 5-second rule. Introduce yourself to 3 strangers today using the 5-second rule. Then I explained how I wanted them to do this assignment. Pay attention to your instincts. And the moment you feel drawn towards someone, that's the push moment. Grab it. Start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and start walking toward the person within 5 seconds before your mind talks you out of it. Next, I explain to the audience what they can expect when they try this simple homework assignment. The moment that they see someone they like to meet, their minds will fill up with a million excuses for why they shouldn't walk over and introduce themselves. Oh wait, they are talking to other people, and I don't want to be rude. She looks busy, so I'll catch her later. He's looking at his phone, so I don't want to interrupt. There's not a lot of time, so I'll do it at the next break. And all of those things you think, they aren't true. Instead, it's your brain trying to derail you. After my new engineer friend recapped my own assignment, he then described what had happened to him. After my speech at Cisco Live, he was out in the hallway and he had a push moment. John Chambers, Cisco CEO, walked by a group of senior leaders. Now you must understand, John Chambers is a legend at Cisco, and from all accounts, he's a really great guy. Chambers was the CEO for 20 years, and the very next day, it was going to be announced that he would be stepping down as CEO and that Mel Robbins would be taking over. So my friend, the engineer, was standing in the hallway, fresh from learning the 5-second rule. He saw Chambers, and his instincts fired up. He immediately had the urge to introduce himself and thank Chambers for inspiring him, along with letting him know the pride that he felt being an engineer at Cisco. He told me that he knew he should do it and he tried to push himself, but he froze. He explained that he felt paralyzed, adding that he is an introvert and this sort of thing doesn't come naturally to him. The moment passed. His hero disappeared down the hall, and he spent the remainder of the day beating himself up for not taking his shot to meet him. But luckily, that's not the end of his story. The next morning, my new friend was jogging next to San Diego Bay in Embarcadero Park in downtown San Diego. This beautiful bike path along the marina was, as usual, filled with roomers, cyclists, and walkers. He had his earphones in and was listening to music, taking it all in, and all of a sudden, who do you think was ahead of him on the path? That's right, John Chambers. Chambers was alone, he had his headphones on, and he's jogging too. My friend told me that he knew that it was it. Now or never, he said. I was immediately concerned that I would be interrupting his time to himself and that it would be rude. But I caught myself hesitating and starting to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He sped up to catch Chambers, tapped him on the shoulder, apologized for interrupting, and then explained how he had always wanted to personally thank him for the incredible career he has had at Cisco. The two men stopped jogging and started to walk through the ℝ𝕦𝕝𝕝 together. According to my friend, Chambers was delightful and engaging. They discussed all kinds of topics, work, life, and even an idea that my friend had related to a project he was working on. At the end of the talk, Chambers shook his hand, thanked him for introducing himself, and gave the engineer the name of a senior person in the organization in charge of innovation. Use my name and tell him we spoke and that I wanted to share your idea with him, Chambers said. My friend was beaming bright enough to light up the room as he told me the story. It was the highlight of my career, Mel, and if it hadn't been for the 5-second rule, it would have never happened. I cannot thank you enough. And then he added, oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I'm now interviewing for a job with the man Chambers introduced me to. Did he get a job? I have no idea. A job isn't the point of the story. This is the story about acts of everyday courage and how they build confidence. This singular experience has the potential to change more than a job. If he continues to use the rule to listen to and follow his instincts, it could very well change the trajectory of what's possible for his life. His exuberance was not necessarily about meeting the CEO, although that's cool, but more about how darn good it feels when you honor your own desires and take control of your life. Remember, confidence in yourself is built through acts of everyday courage. That's what he was experiencing, the radiance of knowing that he could count on himself. The more that my engineer friend practices acts of everyday courage, the more confident he will become in himself. Remember, confidence is created by the small things you do every single day that builds up trust in yourself. I received a message from a man named Bill that will help me illustrate this point about learning to trust yourself. Bill described a struggle that so many of us face with a level of bravery that is inspiring. I have an issue being the real me. Bill's life on the outside sounds remarkable. He's married, has 4 great kids, a very successful career, and is the president of a professional association. Great life, huh? Sure sounds like it. But there's something missing, and it's a meaningful connection with himself. Bill is courageous enough to admit that he's not living the conviction and that, like so many of us, he has developed a habit of hesitating, overthinking, then never doing it, or so saying what I should be doing or saying. Bill feels as though he's lost somehow the ability to make a real connection with people. He's forgetting the most important person he's lost connection with, himself. When you lose touch with the real you, you will feel adrift. You will lose confidence, and your life will lose its flavor of congruency. Bill. This is what Bill said. Please give me a few seconds. Thanks and kudos to you for having the guts to tell it like you see it. I am 53, a father of 4, with 3 grown-up daughters and a 5-year-old kinder boy with my second wife. I am a senior project manager for my company as well as the manager of our construction department. I also volunteer with the local PMI chapter. Just getting into my president's term. So great life, huh? Except, I have an issue being the real me. I have lost somehow the ability to make a real connection with people. Things are not very exciting in the bedroom. I struggle with knowing what I really want. And I have a habit of hesitating, overthinking, then never doing or saying what I should be doing or saying. Nothing earth-shattering, but just not living with conviction. My life just doesn't have that flavor of congruency. So the 5-second rule came into my life the last Saturday at PMI and 𝕊𝕤𝕝𝕝. I don't know what those are, but let's carry on. You can get it back with the 5-second rule, Bill. Bill started using it to walk on his relationship with himself, to go deep and little by little start walking the journey of 1,000 steps, pushing himself to do the small things that quietly teach you to trust yourself. And little by little, I have started the journey of 1,000 steps, getting up in the morning, walking the dogs, being honest but tactful with people, giving back every chance I get, making tough decisions at work, focusing on priorities, and being able to say no when I need to, getting out of bed and taking the dogs out. Just little steps, but it is exhilarating, exciting, and also I'm quietly learning to trust myself. A big difference because I am moving forward. A good life is made up of small steps, making tough decisions, being able to say no, even getting out of bed and taking the dogs out, just like because you said you would. They may be little steps in learning to trust yourself, but they are the most exhilarating moves that you can take for your confidence. Tracy, 48-year-old stay-at-home mom who felt stuck in a rut when she discovered the 5-second rule. And wham, like a light bulb had been turned on. She uses the rule to do things that are small in the big scheme of things. But the feeling and uplift they give me is huge, like speaking at church or posting a photo of herself online. Here's the thing we learned from Bill. Small things are not small at all. They are the most important things of all, and they add up, pushing yourself to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the small things gives you confidence to do the big scheme of things. Most of the applications were small in the big scheme of things, but the feeling and uplift they give me is huge. Here is a brief list of some things I have done using the 5-second rule that I would not have otherwise done. I stood up and danced by myself at a music concert. I took and posted a picture of myself with the author I admire. I don't like the pictures of myself. I spoke in front of a congregation in my church. I spoke to my husband about something that was bothering me. I traded myself to people I wanted to meet. I introduced myself. Sorry, it's written so small. And I have accomplished more around my home and not putting things off as much. In and of themselves, these are not earth-shattering events, but I did them because of the power behind Mel's 5-second rule. I'm trying to use this tool now for things I consider to be bigger struggles, such as losing extra weight I have been carrying around for 25 years, and to getting up the courage to attend my 30-year high school reunion, considering the amount of weight I have gained. I even used the 5-second rule to write and submit my story. I also try to share Mel's message of the 5-second rule with others, and I have heard and seen some people putting it into practice for themselves. I know I will continue to use this empowering and yet so simple life-changing formula. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I am beginning to get unstuck and climb out of my rut. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you, Trace. Confidence builds when you do things that affirm your sense of self, particularly when they are things that you might not normally do, like getting up on time, speaking in front of your church, or chasing down the CEO of Cisco on a bike path. These are acts of everyday courage, and they build confidence. Crystal attended that same Cisco Live 2015 event as the engineer, and she wrote to me about the 5-second rule. She realized that for the past 8 years, she had second guessed every step she had taken. I thought someone was interesting, and then a second later, my mind would give me a million reasons why not to try to speak to them. She started implementing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and right away, the first sitting next to people she didn't know in a breakout session. The next day, when the instructor asked if anyone had any questions, she realized I didn't but was embarrassed to even ask. Then thought, what you would have stood up if you just stopped thinking about it, so I did. Using the 5-second rule, she stood up and asked her question. She also inspired 2 other women to stand up too in a room full of male engineers. Next, she 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and made herself go to the basketball game when she didn't feel like it. And even found the courage to ask a VP for a business card. Because of these acts of everyday courage, her confidence has grown since the event, and her life has completely changed. A new job, a new title, and a new house. Jelenia, I attended Cisco Live 2015 and heard you talk about the 5-second rule. It was superb. I hadn't realized that for the past 8 years, I had second guessed every step I had taken. I thought someone was interesting, and then a second later my mind would give me a million reasons why not to try to speak to them. After having heard about your 5-second rule, I found myself implementing it right away. I met people I wouldn't have met had I not. I walked into a class full of people and searched for the people I knew to sit next to them, and then said, "Hey, what are you doing? Get your butt over there and meet new people, sit anywhere." I did. Then when the instructor asked if anyone had any questions, I realized I did but was embarrassed to even ask, especially if I had to stand up. I then thought, what you would have stood up, what? And you know what you would have, I don't know, it's a little fuzzy the way she wrote it. If you just stopped thinking about it, so I did. I stood up and asked my question. After I did, the other 2 girls in a room full of men did too. It felt great. Later, I was invited to watch a basketball game, and at first it sounded great, but then I decided to go with my first instinct. I met the Cisco VP and even obtained their card. The day I heard you at Cisco Live has changed a lot about me. I have a new job that pays me the amount I deserve. I have a new title. I jumped up 3 positions. I finally took the leap to buy a house after many years of thinking about it. The least I can say is thank you. Thank you for opening my eyes to the 5-second rule, which has made all the difference. 𝕊𝕝𝕝𝕝 started using the 5-second rule after he has released from an executive director role. He lost his motivation and felt incapable. Nobuto Kishi. 2 years ago, I happened to watch TED Talk presentation of Mel Robbins. Listening to the Mel's talk, I became to realize that the 5-second rule might be able to work for myself. After I was released from an executive director of a company, my life was changed completely, not only mentally but also financially. I lost my motivation to create a new life and felt like I am incapable. However, the 5-second rule helped me a lot, and I decided to apply the rule into my daily life. After started using the rule, little by little, the power and energy has come back to my heart, mind and body. I often quote Mel's comment on my blog and translate into Japanese. Mel, pray for your success from the land of the rising sun. So, since we are reading about the Japanese people, I heard that they are discriminating against Burmese people in Japan. So, please refrain yourself from racism. Okay? That's all I will say. Using the rule to practice acts of everyday courage, little by little, Nobuo has found, just like Crystal did, that the power and energy has come back to my heart, mind and body. It's come back because he has proven to himself that he has the power to change things in his life. There's one more point I want to make about personality and confidence. Remember what the engineer said right after he described how he froze the first time he saw Chambers walked by in the hallway? He offered an explanation of sorts. I am an introvert and this sort of thing doesn't come naturally, all these things. What if I told you that nothing about your life or personality is fixed or comes naturally anyway? Nothing comes naturally until you practice it. That's why I keep saying you must practice acts of everyday courage. You have the ability to improve, change, or enrich every single aspect of your life through action. Professor Brian Little, a psychologist at the University of Cambridge, just gave a great TED talk. Who are you really? The puzzle of personality. In it, he talks about the difference between extroverts and introverts and the things that made us who we are. According to Professor Little, it's the doings, it's the personal projects. He describes how some of our traits are more fixed and automatic, but many are free traits that we can adjust in order to advance a core project in our lives. Little explains that like the engineer at Cisco, he's also an introvert. However, his core personal project is to profess. He loves to teach. So even as an introvert, he is acting out of character. When he is up in front of the class connecting with his students, how does he do it? Through deliberate and purposeful action. He pushes himself to do it. The engineer's personal project, was to express his gratitude to John Chambers. That's why he had the instinct to act out of character. How did he actually push himself to do it? The 5-second rule. In both examples, two things were present: a desire to do something meaningful, connect with students or a CEO, and deliberate action, a push to act out of character. Does it feel harder for an introvert to walk up to a CEO, talk in front of a church, or teach a class than it feels for an extrovert to do these things? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how confident the individual is. And confidence, as you know, has nothing to do with personality. As Professor Little likes to say, you are like some other people and like no other person. What I do know is that the first time you do anything, it's going to feel difficult and maybe a little scary. You're going to need a little courage. We are all capable of acting out of character when it serves an important purpose. The most important purpose I can think of is improving your life in ways that make you come alive and feel happy and fulfilled. How do you act out of character to do that walk? You guessed it. You assert yourself and practice acts of everyday courage using the 5-second rule. Those acts may not seem earth-shattering, but they will shatter self-doubt over time. There is so much greatness inside each and every single one of us. The rule helps us see how freaking incredible we all are, just as Amber discovered about herself. Amber, Mel Robbins, you are freaking incredible, and because of you, I now know so am I. You have inspired me. I really love listening to you. Which take us back to the very beginning point. The more that you practice acts of courage, the more you will believe you are in control of your life. And as a result, the more confident that you will become. Even when what you need to do scares you to death, the rule helps you take courageous action. Michelle found that courage to quit her toxic, anxiety-ridden job, and even though she's scared of the unknown, that one act of everyday courage has made her more confident in myself and capabilities. I quit my toxic, anxiety-ridden job this week, and while I am so scared of the unknown, coming up, I've never felt more confident in my life, myself, and capabilities after reading Stop Saying You're Fine. I want to thank you so deeply for pushing me to go for something better. You're changing me without even knowing it. You rock. As Michelle discovered, doing things that scare you actually make you more confident. If you have the courage to take action, your confidence will follow. Every time you push yourself to speak when you are nervous, act when you are afraid, or get to the gym when you don't feel like it, you realize that you can rely on yourself to get anything done. From this belief in your personal abilities flows your confidence. Jay goes to a performing arts high school in Toronto, but has always been nervous to go out for things. Using the rule, he has auditioned for many roles, gotten more parts in shows, and he's also gained a lot of self-confidence. Jay: Hey Mel, I don't know if you remember the last time we spoke. It was a while ago. We just briefly chatted about how you really inspired me with the 5-second rule. I can tell you that within a couple of months of using the rule, it has really started to change my life. I go to a performing arts high school in Toronto. I love it. Every day I get to work with an inspiring team of teachers and directors. I've always loved performing, and I've also always been nervous to go out for things. Putting the 5-second rule into practice, I find that I now have not only been getting more parts, but I have gained a lot of self-confidence. I now feel I have the passion to inspire others as well. I wanted to show you something. The more that you use the rule, the faster your confidence will grow. Stacy uses the rule almost daily to act with courage and talk to people face to face, do some shows for her business, and no longer hide because of fear. Using the rule in acts of everyday courage has helped her grow in ways I have never thought possible. She has cultivated the confidence she's always wanted, and it feels amazing. Your rule has helped me grow in ways I have never thought possible. I have this confidence now that I never thought I was capable of having, and I am showing my team that it's inside them as well. I no longer procrastinate on anything, which just that in itself is an amazing accomplishment for me. Throughout this book, you have read stories of people who have taken very simple or seemingly small steps forward, and their entire outlook on life has changed. It's tempting to dismiss these stories, but because it seems implausible that by simply waking up on time every morning, you can create a chain of reaction that impacts your confidence. However, this is exactly how you do it. Stop focusing on the big things. Use 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go on the smallest things, and you will see that these moments are actually not so small. As Bill said, daily courageous actions of getting out of bed, making tough decisions, being able to say no, giving back every chance you get, and focusing on priorities create a ripple effect that change your life. These are little steps, but the payoff is everything that you seek. Confidence. control, and a sense of pride. Damn, that feels good. Speak from your heart, even if your voice shakes. That is all for chapter 15. I will be reading chapter 16 tomorrow. Feel free to subscribe, like, share. I will keep reading books in the future. This is Daniel. See you in the next one.